Giving out money this morning. That's right, we're giving out cold, hard cash. Remember, it is star 439 hash, star 439 hash. Make sure you're picking option 2. For TV3, it'll cost you 5 cedis to play, and you too could be walking away with 1,000 Ghana cedis going straight onto your mobile device. So do be sure to play as many times as possible so that you too could be walking away with some money this morning. I want to make sure your Wednesday is absolutely exquisite. So do play star 439 hash and let's cash out this morning. Again, it is option 2 for TV3. You play 5 cedis only, and then you sit back, relax, and watch that money go straight into your mobile wallet. Star 439 hash. You know the drill. If you don't play, you don't win. And for those of you who are on the move, you can also watch us via the socials. We're on X, also on Facebook and YouTube. We are at TV3 Ghana. Let's get stuck straight in, and I'll lay the foundation for our first conversation this morning. Now, Ghana's ongoing SML issue has become a focal point in national conversations about corruption and public sector accountability. Investigative journalism, particularly the work of Manasseh Azuri, has brought to light questions about how a relatively unknown company was awarded a significant government contract, leading to public concern and official investigations. This week, and to be specific, yesterday, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, together with National Security, conducted a raid on SML's offices as part of their probe into the matter. Recent surveys, such as those by Afrobarometer, indicates that many Ghanaians perceive corruption as a persistent problem and remain uncertain about the effectiveness of anti-corruption measures. In this context, today's panel features key voices who will help clarify the facts, examine processes, and discuss the public's growing desire for more tangible outcomes from such investigations. Of course, we have a very exciting panel. It's a Wednesday morning, so I know a lot of you are very excited. In fact, the Ardent Viewers Association, shout out to you. You are quite excited for this morning. So do get comfortable, get yourself a hot beverage, maybe a cold beverage, and let's get into these pertinent issues. Now, joining me this morning to have this discussion is Manasseh Azuri. He's an investigative journalist and also an author. I've got in studio also Dr. Joshua Zato. He's a senior lecturer and political and policy analyst. Eric Edem Agbana, MP, K2 South, also in K2 North, I beg your pardon, K2 North. He's also in the studios this morning. And we also have Solomon Owusu, senior communicator, Movement for Change. As always, he's here with his yellow Bible. Let me say good morning to all the gentlemen in the studio. Solomon, good morning.
Good morning.
There's an association, they call themselves the TV3 New Day Ardent Viewers Association.
Oh, really?
In fact, they want to see you every day of the week. What have you done to the people?
Oh, no.
How have you charmed them?
We negotiate on Wednesdays. Sorry. I greet all of them anyway. And we hope they will give us constructive criticisms as we fall, and also give praises where you do. I'm very grateful that they also see what we are doing, and that is all to it for God and country.
Absolutely. We look forward to your perspectives this morning. Adam, hi. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yes, Helen. I think we are meeting for the first time this year. So
That's right.
Happy New Year to you as well. And good morning to my good friends on the panel. Dr. Zato and I belong to the same political science fraternity of the University of Ghana. And so our former POSA president, I must say. And good morning to all our viewers, especially to the good people of Ketu North. And let me use the opportunity to wish all BEC candidates who begin their exams this morning the very best of luck, especially to students in my constituency. Our performance over the years in the BEC has not been too good. We've made some investments, and I'm hoping that this year we see some improvement in the performance. And as such, I've set some incentives, such as all students or candidates who will record between aggregate 6 and 10, some special packages for them. And I'm also going to support all the teachers who will be invigilating the process. And so I wish all BC candidates across the country well, but special focus on my younger brothers and sisters in Ketu North. I want them to make us proud.
Absolutely, Adam. Thank you so much for that. When you said yourself and Dr. Zato belong to the same political
science,
aha, well, I thought you were going to say fraternity. I nearly got a heart attack. Dr. Zato, good morning. Good to meet you. For a second, I thought.
No. Good morning.
He understands what we're talking about.
Roland, wherever you are, remain there. Don't come back. I'm just saying, we prefer this. Wherever you are, don't come back, Roland.
Dr. Zato, looking good and white. How are you this morning?
It's for you. It's for you.
Hey, certainly.
When I saw the flyer like that, I have to come with my A game. You know what I mean? Yes. And I must say, unfortunately, Honorable Adam was not a vandal. He was a Viking.
Oh,
he perched the hall trying to. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. He perched in the hall. He did everything he could, but you know, you can never become a vandal.
Dr. Zato, you are a vandal.
Sharp.
Yes.
Sharp. Always a vandal. Always a vandal.
He was a very stubborn vandal.
I see.
I'm a proud son of Adabakus. I'm a true son of Adabakus. You know, and once a vandal, you always come on. You see, we are talking about serious. We are talking about
a proud All
right. Yes, and we're all POSA members. So POSA, we say always ahead.
Yes,
the biggest, most vibrant Student Association, University of Ghana campus.
Certainly, Dr. Zato, a pleasure to meet you. I know some of our viewers are also keen to hear your perspectives this morning, so we look forward to that. All right, let's get back into the subject matter. Let's take a look at a video here of the special prosecutor in one of his recent press conferences addressing the SML matter.
Arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Xiaocheng Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. 4. Activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances.
Again, that was Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabing talking to us there about certain matters that he is looking into, particularly the issue of SML. And just yesterday, we were told about that raid that happened in the SML offices in Tema and also in Osu. Let me start off with Edem on this one. And as I mentioned also, we will be joined by Manasseh Azure, and he was instrumental in uncovering some of the issues surrounding the SML saga. He'll tell us more about what red flags piqued his interest. In fact, he's joined us now via Zoom, so let me start off with him. Edem, apologies, I'll come to you after that. Manasseh, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing well.
By God's grace, I am.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. SML catapulted back into the spotlight given what happened with the OSP and national security yesterday. So my first question is, what drew your attention to the SML contract in the first place, and what were the red flags that you uncovered during your investigations?
Well, the oil sector is a bit of complex. So there was a time the GRA and then MPA continuously published oil marketing companies. That's those that sell at the fuel stations. Many of them would lift the petroleum product. They would go and sell and then they would take the tax component and the margins. So what happens in the industry is that when you load a tanker of petroleum product, apart from the cost of the product, you also have your margins, which is your profit, and then also the tax component of it. So this Dumsor levy will be taken from that, and then the MPA also has certain margins that it takes. So there were some shady, politically connected oil marketing companies. Some didn't even have the requirements, but the politicians got them through. They registered, and they would lift and take all the monies away without paying. So the GRA, the MP, and the players in the industry came together and introduced a system called the Enterprise Relational Data Management System, ERDMS, which now ensures that if you are Goil, Total, Allied Oil, any company, if you want to place an order to lift petroleum product anywhere in this country, you go through that system. And then if you are owing and you have not paid, that system will log you out. So it stopped the main avenue through which money was being lost. And then this same platform is connected to the GRA's ICOMS, the Integrated Customs Management System, so that if you lift oil anywhere in this country, that transaction will go through the GRA system and then you'll be billed. So we asked the GRA, did they solve the problem? They say yes, because if you're able to account for the volumes, you can also account for your taxes. But there were others who would lift the petroleum product and say, oh, I'm taking it to Bolga, but end up discharging it in Sawam. And what that means is that there is some amount of money through the UPPF system that is paid for transportation. So a liter of petroleum product in Accra sells the same as a liter of petroleum product in Paga, because the tax component is taken care of through that system. So if you lift and say you are going to Bolga and then you discharge in, let's say, in Sawam, you will take that money which is not due you. So they introduce a tracking system that if you open the valve before getting to your destination, the MPA's headquarters will get the alarm and you'll be arrested. Then there's a final version of the problem that was resolved. It is called dilution. Some would buy petroleum products and perhaps dilute it with other chemicals and make more profit. That is also being taken care of. So what I have mentioned, diversion, underreporting, dilution, or under declaration, there are systems to take care of them. Then we realized that another company called SML got into the fray and was taking credit for all these works. So one of the first things we did was to establish and got evidence that the claims SML was making, it was on the company's website, that they were checking diversion. They had stamped the tide of diversion, underreporting, dilution, and general non-compliance in the downstream petroleum sector. Can you imagine that when we asked the GRA officials, they said no, SML wasn't doing this. So the day we went to interview SML officials, we went with GRA officials, including the head of the petroleum unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority. So they even brought it up. Now look, Manasseh and his people said you are doing these services. And Christian Tetesoti, the managing director of SML, said, oh, no, we haven't said that we are doing that. So I went onto SML's website and read it to them. And they said, oh, maybe somebody may have put it there by mistake. So they deleted that claim. Now the question is, there are anomalies in the sector. You claim you are addressing those anomalies. You are confronted with evidence and you admit on record that you are not addressing those anomalies. Since SML started its operation, it has never flagged a single transaction or wrongdoing. And I put a direct question that since you started operation, have you ever detected any wrongdoing? And they said, no, we don't do any of that. But if you look at the newspapers, today, there is a front page story that says oil cartels are after SML, which is false because these companies, the measurement SML does, the GRA does not use it for revenue purposes. And I want you to take that again. I want you to hear that again. The GRA, which contracted SML, and the Ministry of Finance, they have paid SML over 141 million United States dollars. SML does measurements of the so-called measurement with its meters. The GRA doesn't use them. The GRA rather uses the existing meters, which are calibrated by the Ghana Standards Authority every 6 months. And we asked the SML's the engineers at SML, why? And they said, well, the existing meters take more accurate readings than the SML meters. So if you claim there's an anomaly in the sector and then you want to address it, do you bring a system that is less efficient than the existing one? A system whose recordings you do not use. And this so-called system has never flagged any wrongdoing. So if you hear anywhere that SML is helping to save revenue or increase taxes, this is falsehood. If you read the KPMG report, take a look at pages 157 and 158. This report is online. Even if you claim that somebody claims that Manasseh has an agenda against SML and you don't want to believe it, your listeners viewers can take that report and look at only pages 158 and 157, in which KPMG said in all the measurements, SML's measurements were the lowest. The MPA followed by GRA, SML recorded the lowest measurements. And now you understand why its measurements were not used, because they say they use a sound, their meters use ultrasound technology. So it is not inside the pipes to get the exact volumes of oil that passes through it. It uses sound, so it's outside the pipeline. So even if you are flashing air through the pipeline, it will read. That's why it is not as accurate as those that are existing. So these are the red flags. And the most important, or another important thing, is that this company and then the GRA and Finance Ministry, through this operation, have breached a number of laws, especially on the part of the state actors. The company was formed only a month after Akufo-Addo was sworn in as president. And in that 2017, there was a desperate attempt to award single source procurement contract to this company. On 3 different occasions, the Ghana Revenue Authority applied to the PPA asking for permission to use single source procurement to engage this company. The PPA on 3 different occasions denied that request, saying SML, which is, by the way, an offshoot of a timber company, had no track record. This company has just been registered, and you want to use a single source procurement for a technical service. And this company has no track record. There's no evidence. And as we speak, when we interview them, SML, since its formation, had never done any business anywhere apart from what it was doing with the government. So 3 times the PPA said no, but they went ahead, disregarded the PPA, and awarded a contract. So all of these are part of the anomalies. I see that some paid media PR is ongoing. Some media houses are taking money to play some documentaries and do some interviews full of falsehood. I don't begrudge any media house that wants to make money, but it is also fair to tell your listeners, to tell your viewers that this content is like an advert. It is paid for. It is not journalistic, so that at least they would have a mind. So these are the anomalies. And that was not all. Ken Ofori-Atta, through a letter, said that the services of SML, which were even not performed as advertised, and which the company admitted a falsehood and deleted from their website, should now be extended to the oil production sector, and the mining sectors. And this is what the contract says. If you hear anywhere that SML is paid based on the recovery they help the government to make, it is false. The contracts give SML a fixed percentage of every liter of oil that goes into the country. So if you go to the pump and you buy fuel, Edem Agbana goes and buys fuel, anybody goes anywhere in Ghana to buy fuel, SML has a fixed percentage in that. This contract says SML should have a fixed percentage in every barrel of oil that Ghana drills upstream. So Ghana is producing oil. The company instigated by Ken Ofori-Atta, and I hear people saying that, well, he was not an implementing minister. There are letters to that effect. It is not a secret. Says that every barrel of oil that is drilled, SML should have a percentage. Every ounce of gold that is produced in Ghana, SML should have a percentage, and this is fixed. And when we looked at the calculations at the time, SML was to make over $100 million every year out of that contract. Now that the gold prices and volumes are going up, it should be way more than that. But for the first 5 years, we are looking at over 500 million United States dollars, which is going to a company that lied about its savings to the state. And when we confronted the company with evidence, they said, no, the media got it wrong. And I said, if the media got it wrong, it is on your website as we speak. And the manager said, well, I don't know if any website matter. And if you listen to the interview, you know someone who is lying. 2, the services they said they were delivering, they admitted they were not and deleted them. So the question is, if SML is not checking under reporting, under declaration, diversion, dilution, ask the GRA, what is SML checking? What is SML trying to, what mischief is the company trying to cure? So these are the anomalies. And then we have a minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who decided that the services should be expanded. And it will interest you to know that the agency players and the state institutions that were supposed to manage those sectors didn't even know about it. The Minerals Commission said they didn't know about it. The Petroleum Commission didn't know about it. And then when we interviewed the MPA, they said, look, this could be duplicitous. And then even the president's letter mentioned that the other 2 contracts that SML was performing at the post were already being done by customs. So the GRA officials are everywhere. You cannot lift oil without the GRA officials. None of the oil depots can work. The keys are with the GRA officials. So in the morning, they take measurement. In the evening, they take measurement. And they know the amount of oil that is in every tank. So what is SML doing? These are the questions we are asking. And then you see some newspapers and media people saying that, look, it is the oil marketing companies and oil cartels that are behind this
Absolutely.
company.
Manasseh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, certainly. I thought you couldn't hear me for a second. I wanted to interject at certain points so we can move the conversation along. But thank you so much for laying that much-needed foundation. I was going to ask about how state agencies like the Minerals and Petroleum Commission reacted when you inquired about their knowledge of SML and what it is that they're doing in the space.
Well, the Petroleum Commission told us they didn't know about this contract, which was instigated by Ken Ofori-Atta. And the Petroleum Commission is a regulator of the upstream petroleum industry. So if there are challenges there, at least they should let the minister know. The finance ministry is not one of those ministries that is into technical things.
Right.
There are engineers and others. And even the GRA should be able to know. And the communication should come from there. Then we wrote to the Minerals Commission to find out whether they had identified challenges in the sector which they wanted SML or they thought a company could resolve it. They said no, they didn't know about that. And then some experts in the industry say that If gold is mined, there are state agencies that even test. And then there are GRA officials at every point, so that if they are bringing the gold, they are even going to export it. The gold, everything has been assayed and they are going to export it. Helicopters lift the gold from the mining sectors or the mining companies to the airport for export.
Right.
Every helicopter has GRA officials there to protect the state's interest. So if all of these state agencies are there, are you saying that they are all thieves? You cannot trust any of them. All the other companies you have brought in, the systems you've put in place, all of them are useless, except SML, which one lies about its savings to the state and admits on record, which lies about the services it renders. You confront it, it admits, which the PPA says has no any form of experience. What difference will this company make? And when you ask them, they are not able to say anything.
Certainly. Manasseh, stick with me on this particular subject matter, and thank you so much for laying that foundation. I wanted to make sure that we're all abreast with some of the key findings that Manasseh Azuri and the Fourth Estate uncovered as they were looking into the SML saga. Let me change tactics, actually, and start off with Dr. Zato. Dr. Zato.
I'm telling you something. Can you
No.
I'm not ready.
There's a reason for this. Let me start off with you. Let me start off with you on this one. Let's talk about this from a governance perspective. What sort of red flags do you see as far as the procurement issues outlined and oversight issues outlined are concerned?
Okay, as I said, I was trying to get more knowledge about this, and there's a lot flowing there, so I'm still reading. So I thought you would have gone to Solomon and come to me. He's actually ready to start.
No.
You have to. You've just put me on the hot seat, and I'm not ready.
You have been ready.
Solomon, do you want to start?
Adam, should I go to Adam? But you would have been prepared for this conversation.
No. I want to get something because what he's saying is really important. So you go to him and come back to me. If that's
okay.
It. Thank you.
So, certainly, yes. Adam. Let me come back to you then.
Helen, this conversation on the SML deal, for me, is a litmus test in our fight against corruption. Yesterday, I was telling someone that in fighting corruption and in ensuring that you prosecute those who have been engaged in corrupt activities, we know it is a complex and sometimes a very difficult enterprise because of some of the legal complexities that comes with issues of this nature. But the SML deal, even to me, a non-lawyer, with all the facts that are available, it appears as a low-hanging fruit that should be easy for any country, any state interested in fighting corruption to prosecute. Because right from the word go, every constitutional provision, every procurement law has been breached. Article 35(8) of our 1992 Constitution speaks to ensuring that the state must take steps to eradicate corruption. And when you come to procurement, whether the Public Procurement Act, whether the original Act of 2003 or the amended Act in 2016, Section 38 speaks to the fact that competitive tendering is the default method in procurement. Now, in the absence of competitive tendering, there must be a specific justification for which reason sole sourcing should be employed as the method. And all those justifications or conditions are clearly spelled out in our laws. One is that the company or entity being engaged must have some specialized knowledge or expertise in that area, for which reason no other company or entity is capable of providing. Another reason should be that it must be a national emergency. So, for example, there is the outbreak of a disease, and you want to engage a company to provide maybe medications. Maybe going through the competitive tendering may take so much time, and that by the time the drugs arrive, the impacts of the disease or the outbreak could harm the citizenry. So for which reason you are allowed to engage in some sole sourcing of a sort and some other reasons. Now tell me, the contracts for which SML was engaged, a company that is an offspring of a timber company with no prior experience or expertise in the said area, under which reasonable government could such a company be given a contract based on sole sourcing? And for 8 good years, they were allowed to milk this state, looted our resources, and those who were at the forefront of that looting are afraid, or they are not even willing to come and submit themselves to the security agencies for investigations to take place. We are simply not angry enough.
In fact,
because
let me slide talk you a little bit. We talk about competitive tendering.
Yes.
Explain to the people why that is beneficial when it comes to any type of contract. Why will a government engage in that? We know we want to get the best value for money. Is that right?
Yes, you want to get the best value for money, and you also want to open up for companies who have the capacity. And so, if, for example, I am leading an institution, say NPA, and I want to award a contract for some jobs to be done at NPA. If you allow for competitive tendering, the wider scope, people from all over the world who have the competence and the qualification to execute that contract will go through the due process. But if you limit it to sole sourcing, I am guided by my limited knowledge, maybe my relationship with Solomon. And so even when Solomon is not capable of executing the contract, I bring him in and say, I am giving you this contract based on sole sourcing. And so there is no competition where various companies, different companies are submitting a bid indicating how much they will charge or how much they will spend in executing the project. And so the entire deal, the entire SML deal with no apology is a corrupt practice. It was a corrupt deal cooked to serve the interests of those who were in power. And I want to make a passionate appeal to the Attorney General that you may disagree with me, but I'm not comfortable with the fact that it is only the OSP that is handling this matter. I am not, as an individual. You may disagree with me. The Attorney General's office and other institutions, be it IOCO, all of them must enter and ensure that this matter is prosecuted early, because it is a test of our collective responsibility towards these states.
So what do you say? It's not enough that it's just the OSP handling this?
In my view, in my personal view, it is not enough that only the OSP is handling, because since the formation of the Office of the Special Prosecution, I am finding it difficult to identify how many cases they have successfully followed through from the beginning to the end and prosecuted. I maybe have not read enough about the operation, but I think that they are challenged. We must get to the bottom of this issue, because the deal has some fundamental flaws. I've spoken already about the fact that they violated all the procurement laws. And this morning, shockingly, I saw another document said by my good friend Manasseh that on 3 different occasions, the Public Procurement Authority, the institution mandated to review all procurement activities by the state, on 3 different occasions rejected their call, rejected their application for the contract to be awarded to SML on sole sourcing basis. And yet they went ahead to award the contract because people came into office with a predetermined mindset, cooked to come and loot this country, and so that agenda must succeed at all costs. So even when the PPA rejected, denied them the chance to use sole sourcing to award SML the contract, they still went ahead to do so. And so the entire deal, I mean the opacity in the entire deal calls for prosecution. Number 3 is the fact that, interestingly, there is no value for money audits or reports since the implementation of the SML deal. No value for money. Now, if you are contracting a company to come and block revenue leakages, in your view, to come and improve revenue mobilization, and it was such an important exercise to you, and that is why you disregarded all public procurement laws, and that is why even when the PPA asked you not to proceed, you went ahead and awarded them the contract. And for 8 years, we are yet to see a single report showing us that before SML came into the scene, this was how much GRA was raising. And after coming in, they have been able to block leakages to this amount, for which reason the over 1 billion that was paid to them is justified. No report of that matter. So people came into office, and in the first quarter of 2017, decided to form a company from a timber company, award them this contract, violating all public procurement laws, and it was just a machinery set up to loot the states. These are low-hanging fruits, and I expect our anti-corruption agencies to go after this matter and make sure that prosecution is done. Because, Ellen, we have gotten to a point where the public have lost confidence and trust in political leadership.
In fact, that was going to be my next question.
Yes, because for 8 years, some of these issues were raised. That even when the president then, President Akufo-Addo, was pretending to be fighting corruption, he himself issued a presidential directive and asked KPMG to audit this particular transaction. Has he taken any action on it? Even when it was clear in the KPMG report that the likes of Manasseh and all the investigative journalists who revealed or brought out some revealing facts about this deal were justified. But the president disregarded. The deal was still in implementation. The people were still milking the state until we lost office. And I want to plead with President Mahama and cabinet that Ghanaians are watching us. How we deal or navigate our way around this SML deal, this SML contract. If people go unpunished, if people are left off the hook in this matter, the trust and confidence in our ability to fight corruption will be eroded. And it's a dangerous threat for our democracy. This SML deal, without mincing words, is a corrupt deal cooked by the previous administration and cooked by people in high offices, people linked to the president, people who had familial relationships with President Akufo-Addo. And this deal must be investigated, and those who ought to be prosecuted must face prosecution for it.
Now, Adam, you seem quite clear in your mind that this particular deal gave the people of Ghana no value for money. You also talked about the OSP being the only institution now seemingly looking into this matter. You talk about public fatigue and skepticism that the Ghanaian people have about the endless corruption probes that we're told about, but we don't seem to get any finality to this. What is your government's assurance then that we're going to see something different this time around? And I test the temperature on social media and beyond, and I can tell you the Ghanaian the everyday Ghanaian wants to know, when are we actually going to see some action, probe after probe? How do you assure the people that Aura was a big campaign promise, and every day you're being asked, how far?
Well, I am confident that my government, our government, is committed to the fight against corruption. the lawyers have a saying that the wheels of justice grinds slowly. I know Dr. Dominic Ayine very well, and I have so much confidence in him. I know his Deputy Justice very well, and I have so much confidence in him. I want to believe that they are doing a meticulous job. They want to ensure that by the time they are ready to go to court, they will have watertight evidence. I want to believe. So let me appeal again to the people that yes, we want prosecution, but we don't want a situation where your attorney generals will do a shoddy job, get to the court, and based on some technicalities, they will lose their cases. Because we have seen some of those things in the past where clear cases of corruption that Ghanaians expected the government to prosecute people, the state, to win those cases, based on some technicalities, some of those issues were struck out of court. We can talk about the Ghana at 50 and some others. And so I want to believe it is for a good reason why it appears as though government is delaying or is not too fast as we are expecting. So I want to believe. But again, it's also important for those of us in office to understand that in all the promises that we made, and I was on the campaign, I visited every region. In addition to my own constituents, I visited every region to campaign. I interact with the young people, I interact with the people of Ghana. Let me tell you the truth, beyond the big push, beyond 24-hour economy, and all the other promises to create jobs, one of the single promises that the Ghanaian people will use in judging whether or not the NDC has been a good government will be the promise of oral.
Right.
Because Ghanaians are crying for accountability, and so we have to appeal to those who are working directly in the space to ensure that oral is fully executed, that Ghanaians want to ensure that the items, the things, resources that were looted, we recover them.
Right.
Ghanaians want to see the prosecution of those who led the wanton dissipation of state resources over the last 8 years. Ghanaians want to see the collapse of the political gangster movement that was put in place simply to loot resources of this country. Ghanaians want to see a country
right.
where corruption is unattractive. They must rise up to the occasion and ensure that, especially starting with this SML deal, those who were involved, everybody must be brought to book. It was a corrupt deal.
Adam, thank you so much.
I'm convinced that we must prosecute people.
Thank you so much. Adam is very passionate this morning. Dr. Zatu, let me come to you. I'd wanted to lay certain foundations, but we can do so now. What red flags then in Ghana's procurement and oversight systems or processes does this SML scandal highlight to you?
Thank you again, and good morning to your viewers and listeners, and especially to those that are writing BEC all over the country and those that are writing in Tumu today. This morning, Tumu Secondary Technical and Canton Secondary School are the centers for the BEC, and it brings memories of my own BEC in August 1994. August 1994, I was writing my BEC, and it was traumatic for me.
Traumatic?
Yeah, no, not the exam. Oh, I nailed it. I got about 8 ones. I was a very smart kid, I should have said. Oh. It was that I lost my father while I was writing my BEC.
I see.
And August 10th, as I was writing my mathematics, they were burying my father. Very traumatic for me. So whenever I hear BEC, I put those two together.
Sorry to hear
I was
that.
excelling in the academics, and I was burying my father. But it's okay. It made me partly whom I am today. So to all those writing, I say thank you. I hope whatever you are going through, God saw me through, and I hope that God will also see you through. And Nela kala sing muso tu mule me so we are no pemela apama dolum apama yarfiela ne teni de muso borum masaso nyama bana na mama kala mama wo pema ha mesenle ne wo nga hiara maburum. So I'm just thanking them, thanking the fathers, their mothers to help their children to do very well. So that's good. Also a quick one today, nurses are on strikes. thousands, if not hundreds of Ghanaians are dying. The hospitals are empty. There's a standoff between the nurses and the government. The government says nurses want about 2 billion cedis. Government doesn't have that. Nurses are saying they are not going to go. Please, and then Mr. Associate Vandal, please beg with the finance minister. If you don't have 2 billion cedis, can you give them 1 billion? Can you give them 500,000? Can you give them something solid to go back? At least, I can understand that you don't have all the 2 billion, but please, what do you have? I'm sure if you put something solid on the table, say, look, I don't have 2 billion, but I have this, that may show good faith. And with that good faith, they may go back to the church. So please, whosoever is involved, do that and let's get that done.
Thank you, Dr. Zato.
Coming back to this issue, I want to thank Manasseh as we are winning. Thank you, Manasseh. For Tumalawani, my small fry is not so good, so for Tumalawani, how is the work? I want to thank you for the good work you are doing. Any man or woman who puts himself out there to protect the public peace, to improve governance, to root out corruption, deserves praise. Sometimes they do it from their own resources, sometimes they do it as their own personal rights. So I believe that men and women who do this deserve praise. So I want to thank Manasseh for the work he's been doing, his unrelenting work on this and other issues. I pray that he has the strength to keep on the good work and to make sure that public servants or government appointees do not become comfortable in what they are doing. Because if they know that there's a Manasseh lurking in the shadows, then that may be one of the biggest boosters for them to do the good thing. I'm a student of good governance, and I want to make sure I deserve that. Thirdly, I'm also going to say that I am a very good student of what I call regime and post-regime accountability.
Okay.
I strongly believe that. I believe that and have defined regime accountability to mean that a government must be able to hold its own appointees and agencies to account. That you should do that. I call that regime accountability. That in the event you don't do that, that I have absolutely no problem with a new government coming trying to hold appointees and agencies of government to account. I have absolutely no problem with that. At the end of the day, the objective is the same. Let's achieve accountability and make sure that people who abuse their offices, people who misuse public funds, people who betray the public trust, pay for it. I'm not for impunity at all. I want to make sure that so any attempt to do this, and I'm a student, I'm for. So I'm cheering for those calling for accountability in the SML. Right. I'm cheering for those asking that impunity should not be. And so far, I'm cheering with Adam that, look, if there's wrongdoing, it should be done, and then the public should have confidence in our institutions. So I'm also good for that. And because of that, I'm cheering the OSP. You set up to do a job. I pray you do the job and you do it very well. I pray you investigate and you investigate very well. The work of the OSP is part of the post-regime accountability that I've talked about.
Right.
This SML deal has already gone through 3 different forms of accountabilities in the former administration. There's a KPMG report. There is the auditor, there is the parliamentary select report on this. Parliament also investigated it. And I think the GRA itself reported on that. So it has already subjected itself to some form of accountability under the former administration. It has done that. Now this is what the OSP now is doing is post-regime accountability. And as I said, I have absolutely no problem with those sort of things. One.
Bear with me, Dr. Zato. Something you've said has piqued my interest. You talk about regime accountability. Would you say that the SML issue was probed, shall I say, quite easily? Or did we have to put a lot of pressure on the regime to actually look into the matter? That KPMG report came about after Manasseh did his work. So it was reactionary. That's why my first question was, how do you situate this SML saga with our systemic issues, procurement issues, oversight issues? You talk about 2 billion needed for nurses. If we're able to open up our processes for competitive tendering, for example, the state can get more bang for its buck. We can get more value for our money and mitigate some of our other problems. So speak to that issue for me so that we can progress.
Thank you very much. Again, yes, that is why we are in a democracy. Civil society organizations, even independent media, parliament, all these organizations have got the power to instigate an investigation, so to even force or compel an investigation. So I don't actually care where it came from, where the pressure came from.
You don't?
I don't care.
Right.
So long as there was a pressure, so long as there was an investigation. My point is that I'm not for impunity. So if somebody, doesn't matter where it comes from, is able to force the hand of the president, and then the president is able to appoint KPMG, one of the most reputable organizations in the world, to investigate it, I'm all for it. Where it comes from, remember, it was the same president who told people to be citizens, not spectators. So I'm good for that. But I want to come back, I'm still coming back to that. So that's what I'm saying. In the same regime, I have absolutely no problem with what the OSP wants to do. OSP going to go ahead and do that. But there's some two things actually. I've seen a lot of reports. I said I was consuming.
Right.
Data. One here is a summary report of the Petroleum Downstream Bank of Ghana distance. Basically trying to do the before and after of the, what's the name? Of SML.
Analysis, yeah.
It told us what was happening under SML and what is happening post SML. And if you read that report, it basically tells you that under before SML, there was the state was making almost 207 million cedis. That's what they were making. When SML came...
Annually or what?
They started annually per year. That's what it says, 2019. SML came in from 2019, and they're coming back and making an average of about 14 million. So 14 billion. So basically, if you look at the reports, it just tells you that in terms of amount of money being made, that the government was making more money post SML, not pre-SML. That actually the figures and the reports coming out of the FML do indicate that there was a massive...
So this report you have here is from SML?
No, it's not from SML. It's a summary report on the Petroleum Downstream Bank of Ghana Petroleum Holding account data. I also have a study here.
Dr. Zato, let me slide talk you a little bit.
Yes.
You talk about an increase post-SML, right?
Can I have a look?
How do you connect the dots? This report, does it tell us why the introduction of SML increases the revenue? Because there are other variables that could also be enforced. What is the connection here?
Thank you. So I'm saying, remember, I'm also have a study here conducted by Professor Isaac Woody. He's the Dean, Faculty of Accounting and Finance, UPSA. He makes a similar analysis. And his analysis from accounting and finance perspective do indicate that there is value that the government of Ghana and the GRA is making more money post-SML. That's not my main submission. That's not the point I want to make. I want to talk about the governance.
Why did you introduce that into the conversation?
That so that we can situate it.
All right.
That, you see, sometimes governance is not just about value for money. Sometimes governance is not just about money.
Right.
There can be other issues that are important. Because governance should not just be that just by a means to an end. Say it doesn't matter the end, just by the means. No. Sometimes the processes matter more than the ends. So I'm not going to say I'm very happy because SML came and they are making more money. No, because there's a processes. And one of the first processes I'm going to talk about is the issue that Honorable Eden talked about, the Public Procurement Authority. I'm sitting here and I'm asking myself, why do we still have single source procurement in this country? It was supposed to take care of very, very specific issues. Very, very specific. It was supposed to be a very narrow window in our procurement processes. So that critical things, like he mentioned, it's COVID, you quickly need vaccines to come in. You don't have the luxury to now stand and be calling for this and all that, you can quickly do it. But what we have seen over the years is that that small, narrow hole has now become so big that elephants, you can even put ships or even articulated trucks, airplanes through that narrow. Almost every government procurement now uses that narrow single source. His Excellency President Mahama, you've promised good governance. Can you ban all single source procurement in this country? Can you say that? You can send a law, you have numbers in parliament. Can you today send a bill to parliament and say that, look, people have abused and misused the procurement system. People have misused and abused the single source system. Because of that, in my commitment to what? Better governance, I will send a bill that says that nobody shall do single source procurement. And that if you want to do any single source procurement, that is above the $20,000 cities that employers will take, and you must seek approval from the office of the president himself. That case, he becomes the watchman of this. Because look, there's a lot of abuse in the public procurement. Every organization wants to procure. Every agency wants to procure. We have become procurement obsessed. And that is where most, if not all, the corruption. Look behind every single corruption allegation in this country, its roots are in procurement. My argument is, can we close that hole permanently? Can we say that from now? The president can do it. And Honorable Edam, I'm sure you can sign on to that. To say that, look, let's do it and just give only the president of the republic the chance to give approval for single source, so that when it's an emergency, he determines what is an emergency. Look, whatever we are saying here, if we don't do this, there are procurements going on today, the procurements tomorrow, tomorrow next. We will come back and sit here and we see similar procurements going through this way. It will not stop. Because remember, they didn't start with Nana Akufo-Addo. Even if you do understand, you could say the volumes have increased or remain the same. And they will not end with him. People will use single source procurement, and the reason they use it because they don't want to be competitive and they don't want to test the market. So my recommendation, please, Mr. President, can you, in your effort to clamp down corruption, close this hole permanently? Send a bill, reform the public procurement system, say no, because when you do that, you send a very strong message. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I want to talk to the SML. Mr. SML, you cooperated with KPMG, and you cooperated with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy. Please cooperate fully with the OSP.
That's your advice.
That's
to
my
SML.
advice. You are cooperating.
Why do you have to plead with him?
I'm saying, do that. Go to them. If you have nothing to hide, go to them. Make all your books clean, because you are a citizen, and you're also committed to good governance. If what you are doing, if your hands are clean and you have nothing to hide, go to OSP, do that. If your hands are clean, have nothing to hide, prove to the world that you too are an organization. You have employees. Some of your employees are not politicians. Some of your employees are just ordinary Ghanaians.
Thank you,
who
Dr.
have school fees to
that.
pay, who have hospital fees to pay, who just want to do ordinary things.
Certainly.
Don't let your maladministration put them in danger out of jobs. So my advice to them is cooperate fully, do the right thing, and go. And finally, let me just put it this way. You will never see me sit down here and try to countenance maladministration, corruption in agency. If you rise up to either serve in the public sector, or if you rise as a public organization to use the public money, you must be prepared for both regime and post-regime accountability.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zato, for that. I want to quickly go back onto Zoom and speak with Manasseh. Manasseh, this issue about the introduction of SML increasing our revenue as a country, I know you have a different perspective on that, because there was a point in time where SML's operations were actually halted and we saw revenue go higher. Please clarify that for me very quickly, just in about a minute or so, please, as snappy as you can make it, and then I'll go to Solomon.
Yes, I think the journalists who have been interviewing SML, if they were as intelligent as you and asking these intelligent questions, SML and its defenders would have shut up long ago. He cited a UPSA report. Since this thing started, those UPSA professors, Professor Jampo and others, have been, let me use this word, shamelessly pushing an agenda and trying to impugn the integrity of those calling for accountability. Now, as you rightly said, if you look at the gold mining sector this year, they said the first 4 months there was an increment of revenue of about 76%. SML was given a contract to go to that sector, but because of our investigation, it was suspended. It was never, or it hasn't even started. But there is that increment. If you look at the Ghana Revenue Authority, every year their targets go up. And like you rightly pointed, the first quarter of 2020, the first half of 2024, the GRA board chairman, Joe Garte, said they had exceeded their revenue target in a very unprecedented way. But within the period, MSL's operations at the ports and elsewhere were suspended. Now to the question, I am saying on record that SML's operation has not added a peswa. This is the natural growth in the sector. And if anybody doubts me, let me just read what the KPMG report says, and then I'll end it.
Certainly. In a minute, please.
The KPMG report, yes. Talking about the volumes that we have, the volumes of oil that came into the country. And I'll refer your viewers to pages 157 and 158 of the report. It is online. 1, it says that an average of 400 million liters per month was already being recorded in Ghana in 2019 and the first quarter of 2020, as per our review of MPA's data. SML made a claim that when it came, we were getting like 200 million liters per month. Then its operation brought it to 400 million liters per month. SML started in June 2020. But the KPMG report says that even as far back as 2019, we were already recording 400 million liters per month. 2, GRA and MPA recorded a significant decrease in lifting volumes in April 2020. April 2020 was when we had a lockdown and people were not traveling. That is 336 million and 331 million liters respectively as a result of COVID-19 lockdown spanning the period of 1st to 20 April 2020. 3, volumes recorded after April 2020 were constantly above 400 million liters. So it is false for SML to say that their operations brought it to 400 liters. Then finally, this is a very important point, that in the latter half of 2020, when SML commenced its operations, data comparison from 3 sources indicates that MPA recorded higher annual volumes than both SML and GRA. Following MPA, GRA recorded the next highest annual volumes, with SML recording the least volumes. So this company that is taking credit, the report and the data available said they were actually doing the least. Then the revenue, as the KPMG report also talks about how revenue increased. So if somebody is a professor and you have a PhD, you are supposed to be deep. And when you encounter facts, you are supposed to use your common sense and academic qualification and whatever you are learning. If you are head of accounting department, I think some of these analysis should inform the kind of trust your students will have in your intellect. This is what is on record. And this is not my making. This is from KPMG. And I'll just read this and end. It says, key observation, downstream petroleum revenue. The following were observed from the analysis of the revenue collected by GRA over a period of 2015 to 2023. 1, an incremental growth in revenue was observed from 2015 to 2023, except for a decline observed solely in 2017. So close to 10 years, there was incremental revenue before SML even came. So the right question you asked was, how did SML contribute to this? Nobody is able to say it. 2, one significant contributor to this growth was in the increase of the number of taxes over the years, from 2 taxes in 2015 to 5 taxes in 2023. So by the time SML came, taxes increased. Another point, another significant contributor to this growth is the increase in tax rates. So taxes increased and then tax rates also increased in 2016, 2019, and 2021. However, there was a decrease in tax rates in 2017, coinciding with a revenue reduction from 2016 to 2017. So the only year there was a decrease in the revenue, that year there was a decrease in tax rates. That's when MPP came afresh and they wanted to please the voters, just like some of the NDC policies are, and they are shoring it up. Then for any petroleum product to be lifted to be taxable, it must be declared in ICOMS.
Right.
GRA's records of petroleum volumes lifted, taxable and non-taxable, are transmitted from ERDMS system to ICOMS. SML's flow meters reading are only used for assurance purposes. So even if SML was doing any good work, this report, and we have said it in our documentary, and GRA SML have confirmed it, that the SML readings do not go through the ICOMS. They are not used for tax purposes. Besides, they are the lowest readings. So this is evidence that any report anybody holds out there that SML's operation increased revenue or volumes, there is evidence that this is false.
Right.
And this evidence is there, and you have professors closing their eyes to common sense. And I wonder what they are teaching their students.
Thank you, Manasseh, for that. Thank you for adding some more flesh onto the bones there. Solomon Owusu, let me come to you next, and thank you for your patience. You've heard all the foundational aspects of this. From where you sit, what do you really want to see happen next?
Let me first of all commend Manasseh, just like Dr. Zato said, on what he was able to uncover in terms of the SML thievery, criminality. And let me say that I also associate with what my brother Adam said, that the survivor of this very administration is how well they go after all those that were involved in the SML deal. Look, on the streets, the youth are not happy. The youth of this country are so much mad that their future has been thrown into the downdraws because of the riskiness or the recklessness of these politicians. What are we discussing? SML. NPA and GRA already had a system. The DMS was already there. If you have ever engaged yourself in the petroleum sector, nobody will convince you that we needed any entity called SML. Create, loot, and share. And that is why Ken Ofori-Atta is out of this country. And look, let me tell you, all those lawyers that are sitting down running their mouths, Ken Ofori-Atta should not come, should not come. You are part of the nation wreckers. They must be told in the face. People go and steal banana, steal sheep, goat. They are in Insawam. People go and take our billions, and you come and tell us that, hey, he shouldn't come. They are all part of the scheme.
Solomon, they say he's unwell. He can't travel. He can't.
The other time we were told that Santi Bedioto wasn't unwell. Nobody showed us a picture. Only recently he was as fit as a fiddle, walking around. Has anybody seen Ken Ofori-Atta? For you to believe that hogwash that is going on, I have told this OSP that the earlier he put a bounty on the head of Ken Ofori-Atta, the better. Either than I don't take him serious.
You want him to put a bounty on the head of former finance minister?
If he likes, he should put $5 million on the head of Ken Ofori-Atta. I'll be in the United States tomorrow with the first flight looking for Ken Ofori-Atta. Because the amount of money together with his accomplices they have taken from this country, today, BEC is starting. Is that not the case?
Indeed.
600,000 of our youth. My daughter is writing BEC today. Whether or not the future will be good for her depends on how Ken Ofori-Atta and together with the Kaba has recklessly taking money from us. And what are they talking about? SML, when Christian Shoti, he calls himself a pastor, was asked by Manasseh Azuri.
Solomon, let's not get personal.
No,
here.
we are going to get personal because people have used personal to take our money. You see, we deal with issues in this way and people get away with it. Don't let us make it intellectualism. It is about people, our money that has been stolen. Daylight thievery, daylight robbery. When the managing director of a company, SMA, Christian Zoti, was put a direct question by Manasseh Azuri that how much do you take as your service charge? Can you imagine me coming to TV3 and asking your managing director, how much does it cost for your advert? And your managing director says, I have no clue. Then what is he managing? What is he or she managing? Christian Zoti told the journalist that he had no clue. Now, when he was asked a simple question by your objective, the stated objective of your company, you have to do what you call identify underreporting, dilution, diversion. He says we do none of these.
So dilution,
and dilution. He said we do none of this. So what were we paying SML for? They should tell us what we were paying them for. In any case, if you know the petroleum sector, where it's so key is the pumps. Because that's where the taxes are collected. The OMCs, they serve us with their fuel. And then when we buy, the taxable quantities are turned out. So what were they doing? If your pumps, you didn't have any meter at the pumps. It is only create, loot, and share. And it is one of the reasons why Ken Ofori-Atta is refusing to come to this country and hiding behind all those people you call lawyers, activists, saying that, oh, if I were him, I wouldn't come down. He will be forced to come down. Either than that, all those in Nsawam must be released. Because the net effect of their crime comes nowhere near what we have been subjected to under the last 8 years. And we must take it very, very, very serious. Because how? Look, here was someone in 2017, he gave us a budget and said it was a simple budget. You remember that?
I recall.
In 2018, he said he has done a Juma budget. He was going to give the youth of this country more jobs. In 2019, he said in Punto budget, development everywhere. In 2020, he said a motor budget. We listened to him all this. When he realized that people are getting the phrases in Twi language or Akan, he changed it in 2021 and said 1 year, 1 year budget, because he wanted to confuse a lot of people who didn't understand Ga. Then in 2023, he came back with Nkabum. You have done all this, Mr. Furiata. Come and defend your actions and inactions. He said you won't come. You say you can agree with Adam that the government of the day must take the investigation from the OSP and add the Attorney General if you mean business.
Solomon, can I ask you a question, please? Have you cited that letter from the Mayo Hospital in the United States?
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
They say that Kenneth Oriata, former finance minister, is unwell.
He's fit.
And he has to undergo some treatment. He's proposed some alternative mechanisms by which investigations can progress, where in a digital era, digitalization, we can use some mechanisms to elicit whatever answers that we want from Ken Oforiatta. Solomon, I can tell you, I'm just waiting for my lips to stop moving. So
the very reason he claims he's in the US is the more reason he has to be in Ghana. You were holding our purse. You were supposed to invest our monies in proper hospitals, modern day hospitals, so that you and I, when we are sick, are we going to go to the Mayo Clinic? Mayo Clinic is one of the expensive hospitals in the world. Are you getting me? You were holding our purse. You couldn't build any hospital to that stature. You have decided to go there. In any way, have you spoken to any medical officer from that hospital? We are only being shown documents, medical reports, fake one as such. Have you forgotten what what's the name? Godfrey Dabi told
Japa. When you say fake one, you say fake one. How do you know the document is fake?
But you were in this country when the former Attorney General Godfrey Dabi told Japa that he must try and find ways and means to get medical report. So it is in the DNA. Now, the modus operandi of the former administration is that if they are not sick, they are not in Ghana. Hey, is that the way you want us to build this country? Then who is going to face any prosecution in this country? I will come and steal this country, steal from the country, and all that I will do is I'll run into US or any other country, and I'll start writing post letters to the people of Toronto or Kerofuriata's letters to the people of Ghana. I won't even come at all. So that I will be prosecuted. I'll be doing video conference. If you claim you are sick, what strength are you going to use to engage in that video conferencing? They should annoy us. We sit somewhere. When you speak, Ken Oforiatta will come and quote Matthew 13. When you say no, he come with Nehemiah 4:19. When you say he said Jeremiah. Every quotation he has given to us. Now come and account for what you did with the very Bible quotations that you quoted with your white shirt and with your soft speaking. Now you say you are nowhere to be found. We have to be serious. This is a low-hanging fruit. Everything about this case is so clear, straight to the point, that we can go for this money. This one together with the PDS, so low-hanging fruit, what's the name? The National Service, another beauty. You were talking about the All Africa Games, 35 edition of All Africa Games, that 245 million, that they intentionally stole from the nation. They stole from the country. It's another low-hanging fruit. This morning, together with a group of people, we are going to do an expose at the National, what's the name? Lotteries Authority. Another beauty. That one will blow your mind. I have said that any appointee in this administration, be it agency or ministry, that is yet to expose any rot at where he or she is, meaning they want to cover up. Because so much rot has happened, and that is why we find ourselves where we are. So in terms of what we are discussing, do not take it away from Ken Oforiatta. It was his baby, SMA. Can you imagine? On 3 occasions, as Adam said, the company was rejected because it was SMEL, Strategic Mobilization Enhancement Limited. When they were rejected on 3 occasions, all that they did was to go and remove the enhancement from the acronym to make it SML. And all of a sudden, they were given a contract. How can we treat this country like this? How can we destroy the future? As I'm speaking to you now, young men and women who have been told to burn the midnight candle, to learn, study, finish their university and come and get a job, they are all sitting home. We are told by the KPMG report that between 2018 to 2024, SMA was paid 1 billion. Do you know what 1 billion could have done for this teeming youth? They brought another one called NAPCO. You remember that NAPCO? Indeed. They took our money. They never engaged 100,000 people. They should go into that matter and retrieve our money for us. That is all we ask for. So that the nurses that my brother Zato was talking about, though their strike is bogus, nobody should entertain it. It's just blackmailing government. Nobody. How can you go and negotiate that? We should be paying your funeral grants, height allowance. If you're on the 3rd floor, you must take more than the 4th floor. If you're on the 5th floor, you must take. What sort of nonsense is this? What sort of nonsense is this? That you must be paying your license. If you are going to renew your license, we must be paying for you. If you not renew it, go and stay in the house and let's go for it. This business of people blackmailing government will see from this year going.
Dr. Zato.
Yes.
Actually, no, apologies. Let me stick with Solomon. Forgive me. I'm reorienting my mind.
You have to read.
Okay.
Apologies. No. Solo, please let me stay with you. You mentioned NLA. You say that today we should look out for something coming up. Who actually is involved in this expose?
They have sold the National Lotteries Authority.
Who?
To a private entity.
Who has sold?
You see, because it's going to be a press conference, we are invited TV3 at 11 a.m. at Press Center. Please come there so that we give you.
Who is holding this press conference at 11 a.m.?
Together with Listower and other friends, that we want to go after all those that have stolen from this country. We will not sit down for the. Sometimes you look at the young guys there and ask myself, what sort of wrong have they committed that their youthful ages will be destroyed by elders in this country who ought to know better? But it is not surprising to me because in 1969-70s, it was the same Kerofurate's father who borrowed us out of our way for Buzia to be overthrown, together with President Kufuor's father, who was the ceremonial president. We must be serious. We must be serious. So the exposés are going to fall in, going to play out, and the sovereignty of this country resides in the people of this country. We must rise up as the youth to make sure that people that we put in place are held accountable and liable for their actions and inactions. Just recently, one CD levy was introduced. Are we not the ones going to pay? So if you allow a politician to recklessly shortchange you, you will pay for it. And that is why every corrupt act, one of the reasons why the people of this country voted for the NDC was their clamor to deal with political criminals. We cannot allow them to go unpunished. They flaunt their wealth at our faces. They go and tell our children in their classrooms that your fathers are not smart because we didn't steal. Is that what you want to tell us? And we know all of them.
Papa and Bobra.
We know all of them. Like you say, Yamobra.
Solomon, today you're talking about the youth. It reminds me of something Professor Frimpong Boateng says. He says the youth of Ghana can no longer afford to postpone their future.
Absolutely.
You agree with him?
And that is why all these things we are doing is to prick their minds to understand what it means to fight along men of conscience. Because whatever corruption takes place affects their future. The corrupt practices of politicians is the reason why their homes not getting jobs to do. They should not eulogize or hero worship anybody that is corrupt. And that we must go after them. What is the difference between the politician that has stolen billions and that man at in Sawam who stole only 5,000 cities? Yes, it's even worse. The politician's one is worse.
Solomon, thank you so much for that. Okay, I was going to go because I see that Dr. Zato was scribbling furiously, so I don't want him to forget what it is that he had.
You can go there.
Dr. Zato, today you are deferring to everybody else. Are you not ready for me? Adam, take the time.
He has been admiring since one, so all the thoughts are gone.
He's confused then, maybe. Helen.
Adam, let's hear you.
My challenge
just 2 minutes for me, please.
Yes, is the fact that Dr. Zato creates the impression that he is on our side on this matter. That he is on our side for all of us to fight corruption. He's on our side. But he fails to, or he's failing to address the key issues that are very essential to governance. I can understand your challenge perfectly, maybe because of where you are aligned. Maybe we are told MPP has boycotted TV3 New Day.
Yes.
Maybe you want to play in between. But you see, on matters of this nature, I plead with you that by the very training that we received at the political science department, at the core of governance issues is the issue of accountability. Now, this SML deal, it risks becoming a symbol for institutional complicity if nothing is done about it. If this deal is not well analyzed and people prosecuted, it's like we are endorsing state capture by private individuals, and we are tolerating it. And I want to plead with the OSP that let us not pretend as though until Kenoforiata alone comes, we cannot prosecute all the other actors that are involved in this deal. From GRA to whoever that was involved, let us see the prosecutions, because this deal, it stinks.
Thank you, Edem.
Nobody, since Manasseh started raising these issues, nobody has been able to answer to the very key issues as to why even the contract was awarded based on single source.
Thank you, Edem.
Why? There is no other company in the world that could do this. Was there an emergency? Why do you bypass due process? Daylight robbery of state resources.
Adam, thank you for that. Your 2
you
minutes
expect
are
us to embellish it? Whoever is in charge, whether he's on Osofo, whether he's a reverend minister, even in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 14, the Bible said, God will bring every deed into judgment. And so if indeed,
Adam,
being a Christian is not about wearing white, quoting scriptures and be stealing from the state.
Let me ask another gentleman in white.
Being a Christian, being a good Christian and a good leader is not about memorizing scriptures, deceiving us with scriptures while you are stealing from us.
Thank you.
The same Bible you are quoting in Ecclesiastes 12:14 is telling you that God will bring all your deeds to judgment. Absolutely. Submit yourself to the
Dr. Zato,
to accountability.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that.
But they must be prosecuted.
I agree with you.
Wow.
Thank you very much. You see, it's strange. It's very strange that you are finding it difficult to agree that I'm agreeing with you. And there's this internal contradiction in you, and you are lashing out at me. What is the lashing out about? I don't know why you don't get it. I'm saying I agree with you. There should be no impunity. We agree on it. Why are you saying that I'm finding? No, I've just told you.
Because you were justifying that since they came.
You see, if you
revenue increase, which is not true. Manasseh laid the first bet. I'm just guiding you.
I didn't tackle you. And I didn't tackle you. It's not because I cannot tackle you. It's because I'm respecting the viewers. You see, you've seen that. Host, that I'm not tackling him, not because you are making argument. You've not come up with a single recommendation on how to prevent this is going into. You've not done that.
Prevent what?
Only what?
The looting and proofing. That's why they should prosecute them.
Yes, but I said same. Again, you see.
That is the only recommendation.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. No. See, this is the case. When I come and I'm relaxed. When I come and I'm relaxed. No. It's not. You're not being fair. You're not being fair. When you come, no. When you come, when I come and I do, you say I'm not relaxed.
Please speak.
When I'm relaxed and they steal my time and prevent me from talking, you say what? So you're not. No. One, I've said here that I believe in one regime accountability and post-regime accountability. I've said that. I believe that people like Manasseh are doing a yeoman's and a gold job. And I said that they should continue. And I'm saying that I'm cheering for the OSP in this event. I've said all these things. So I don't know what your problem is. No, but I also told you something. Yes, you see,
please allow me
I'm in the business of knowledge production. Yes. I don't know why. I'm in the business of knowledge production. And when you are in the business of knowledge and research, you respect it. And I'm telling you that there is research that shows that revenues have increased. There's research that shows that in the post, there's a post and there's a pre-SML. And that shows that revenue has increased. I've said those are facts, and I've said the facts. So if you don't have the facts, don't say
that's not true.
Now, secondly, it doesn't matter.
A report that
I have not said.
Then please allow Dr. Zato to flow. Dr. Zato, I will be asking him
despite the financial performance, I have not said that they should not be prosecuted. I have not said that the OSP should not investigate them. I have not said anything. I have not said it. I said I'm cheering for the OSP. Didn't I say that? I am saying that institutions. Okay, Adam. OSP, prosecute SML. Are you happy? OSP, don't even just carry them from their homes to Sawam Street. Burn down the building. OSP, jail them, throw away the key. OSP, shoot them, take them to and shoot them. You see, I'm telling you, and the point I'm making is this. Do you support me? You are an MP. Do you now support me that the public procurement bill should be amended today? Do you support me that Single sole sourcing should be banned. No, Solomon, let me. Do you agree with me? Because you see, I've made the point.
The problem is not the legislation.
We can all sit here. We can all exactly.
It's not the legislation.
We can all sit here. We can all sit here.
Legislation.
We can all sit here and say this. We can do that. But there's something is going to happen. These government and future governments will still abuse the sole source. No, they will do it. I mean, you see, it's early days here. So my point is that single source is the biggest source of corruption in this country. My point is that if you are really committed to eliminating corruption, amend the single source. If you are really committed to eliminating corruption, do it. Because you can sit here to look. Governments come on the look. When NPP was coming to power, NPP talked about single corruption, came used it a lot. So my point is that, do that. But look, corruption affects all of us. Right now, they are necessary. I'm also happy that you've not told me whether you stand with the nurses or with government. I'm also happy that you've not said anything. And I'm happy that Solomon has told us where he stands. He doesn't stand with the nurses. I stand with the nurses. I thank you for what you are doing. It's a social democratic government, and the foundational base of social democrats is Labour. I'm rather afraid it's unfortunate that this same party is running away from Labour. Nurses are still with you. Government, my appeal to you, government, is this. If you cannot meet the $2 billion CDs, can you give them 1 million? If you cannot give them 1 million, can you give them 1.5? If you cannot give them 1.5, can you give them 500?
Thank you,
give them something to go back to saving lives.
Thank you for
Don't sit down and ignore them. This is a very big issue to do. Nurses are stand with you, but I plead with you to get something to go back.
Thank you so much. I'm getting counted down.
No. So,
in just
thank you.
20 seconds, you finish. All right, thank you so much for that. It's one that we've been discussing since last week when the strike was embarked upon by our nurses and our midwives. We're keeping the steam on that issue, so do stick with us all throughout the day. But this is where we bid you farewell on the big issue. Let me say a very big thank you to my panelists this morning. Manasseh Azure is an investigative journalist, also an author. We had the very vibrant Dr. Joshua Zato. He's a senior lecturer, political analyst. Sadly, the time has beat us.
You guys, you're ganging up on me taking all of the time. That's right. You're ganging up on me taking all the time. Now see what they have coming.
Senior communicator, Movement for Change. Gentlemen, let me actually wish you a happy Father's Day in advance. It's coming up this Sunday. I don't know what plans.
We don't have any.
Oh, then let me tell you then. Father's Day is almost here. I'm celebrating the gentlemen in the studio. And all of you in advance. Woodeen has made it effortless to find the perfect gift.
Very important.
Apart from dinner, head over to Woodeen from now till June 15th when you shop our men's t-shirts, shirts, and polos at any Woodeen retail or partner shop. Now, when you buy any Woodeen for your fathers this Father's Day, you get a free Woodeen branded Bluetooth headset. Absolutely free. Style and sound in one sweet package. So show some love with flair and make dad look effortlessly cool only at Woodeen. Available at all Woodeen retail and partner shops nationwide. In Accra, Woodeen shops can be found at Accra Mall, ANC Mall, Junction Mall, Osu, Oxford Street, Legon City Mall, HM Mall at Denta. Terms and conditions, of course, apply. Woodeen is still le créateur. On that note, we go on a short break. When we come back, there's more right here. Reminder still that we're cashing out this morning. *439#. Play as many times as you can. We'll see you shortly.